Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and okay, I just did a head-to-head comparison between the original cinch, the universal cinch, and the multi-cinch for double loop binding to make notebooks. So I made these, not that one, these three notebooks here, and if you didn't watch that video, I did it all in real time. I did all the testing in real time, and that way you can kind of see, as I'm seeing, how they compare to one another, and they all did really great. I gave some concluding thoughts in terms of like which one might be the right one for you, just based off of what your needs are. Just for personal projects and whatnot, I feel like the multi-cinch is really great. But if you're gonna do anything on a larger volume, then having the large size cinches, I kind of feel will be super necessary because it's a lot of extra work just to punch enough holes for even this small size notebook. And this is just A2, 4¼ wide by 5½ tall. Today's video, what I want to do is actually make spiral bound notebooks and compare the two that way, because when I got my multi-cinch, I actually got the full bundle, which includes 3/1 pitch spiral holes. So that's what I'm gonna use, and I'm kind of excited because truth be told, I purchased these 3/1 pitch spiral wires accidentally, thinking that I was getting the correct type of wires for the cinch, but the cinch only punches 2 1-pitch holes. And so I've had this in my craft room for a really long time, like years and years now, because I guess I missed the return window, and I don't have anything to punch holes for it. Now, I got the multi-cinch in large part for the variety of different holes that it can punch, because you can swap this out. You can pull out this whole punching mechanism and then put a different style of punch in. I'm going to take a moment and actually just empty out, because I just did the testing earlier, so I'll empty out this. I kind of forgot that I had these wires, and so I actually have not tried the spiral punch yet. And the universal cinch, I was lucky enough that American Crafts, We Are Makers, they sent it to me. I kind of requested it because I really wanted to test it out to do these comparison videos, and so I asked them if they wouldn't mind sending me one. And I've done, product review videos for one other product of theirs before, and so so they know that I put out these review videos that do kind of okay. Give me your feedback. What do you think of them? But I try to be really thorough. I try to film it in real time so that there aren't any tricks with the camera, and so they were kind enough to send me one. And one of the reasons why I wanted it is because it can punch a set of holes that is universal to different pitch, 2/1, 3/1, 4/1. You can use it for all of those. You can use it for spiral bound, double loop bound, ring bound, etc. So it's a very nice, clever invention how they've come up with this size, shape, and spacing of holes that works for all of those things. So really, really cool. And it's when I got this, when this came out, I thought, oh, I remember I have those 3/1 pitch spiral wires. I should really test it with those. And that's what this video is all about. Now, I've done it once before in my first look video. I have these like super, okay, so as it turns out, I've been going back and forth with a viewer who left a comment. She said that the reason why I wasn't able to kind of open my pages all the way is because my wires are just too small. And we've been commenting back and forth because she's absolutely right. I looked at the Amazon listing, and turns out I bought a variety pack. So I actually have different size diameter wires. And one of the nice things with the spiral bound is easy enough to actually change out the wires if you want. And so you just need to kind of uncoil them. But I don't know why they make wires. We were chatting in the comments. I don't know why they make wires like as small as this. This is 8 millimeters, and she recommended 16, which is kind of huge. I have 14. I have 8, 10, 11, which I don't even know why you have 10 and 11. But this bundle had 8, 10 millimeters, 11, 14, and 16. I feel like the 8 is kind of useless, but then again, maybe if I punch actual spiral holes, I don't know if there's a difference in how much, because really it comes to how much paper is left between the left edge of the paper and the holes, because you need enough room to have that amount of space between them, fit between the loops. See how this isn't even big enough? The pages have to overlap in order for you to kind of have this be flat. And I think this is probably like the 10 millimeter. So really, of the wires that came in my bundle, I think 14 and 16 are the only ones that are gonna really work. But let's give it a test and let's see. So what I'm gonna do is punch holes using both, and then we're gonna make a couple of notebooks, and we're gonna compare, and we're gonna see what size wires I like. How small can I go down, and does this one actually make any difference in terms of how big or small of a notebook I can have? So I've got some papers ready. I'm gonna cut some pattern paper down to make some covers, and then we're gonna make some notebooks. Okay, so I've got my pattern papers. On the Universal, I'm going to use this lemon paper from the Not Too Shabby shop. This is from their paper pad subscription. And I just have copy paper cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's a nice convenient size because you can get 4 sheets to 1 US letter sheet of paper. And all I'm going to do, because it's 5 1/2 inch the length that I'm punching the holes, I'm just going to line it up at the 1/2 inch line and punch. I like to do all my pages first, and then I'll do my covers. Okay, so for this stack of papers, which I would say would you say that's maybe about 1/8 of an inch? I think that's about maybe 1/8 of an inch. It took having to really, hey, FYI, I usually do this, but if you're gonna do this, definitely pull out the last peg. So it clipped it. I forgot to pull that out. So, oops. When I have oopsies like this, all I do is I take this to my stack cutter, and I just cut an extra, I just cut that off. and then I just make a smaller notebook. You don't have to, I had another oopsie earlier in a previous video. Don't toss it. I mean, it's a big stack of papers. Don't toss it. Just trim that off, and then just make a smaller notebook. It's fine. But let me do that again. That was just for demonstrating that you should pull that peg out. This is why I do these videos in real time. You can really see my oopsies, but it happens to all of us. And it's not, I won't even say it's because I'm filming and I, wasn't paying attention, but just remember, if the edge of your paper comes close and you think you might get a partial hole punch, that's the nice thing with the universal, with the large size cinches, this one and the original, or the Heidi Swap, that's the large size. You can pull these pegs out, and that means that the punch in this location will not actually go down. So I do feel like, before that happened, I was gonna say, I do feel like more strength needs to be exerted to punch this style of holes as compared to the original, which is just like regular single holes. So I'm gonna continue and punch a small stack. I'm not sure how much I'll need, and then I'll punch my covers. I can do the covers now, because the covers I'll punch in the same way. I basically like to put them front back, because sometimes it may not be spaced perfectly, so I always punch my front and my back covers the way that they will be bound. Not so I want this visible as my back cover, and I want that visible as my front cover. I would not punch it like this, because when the notebook actually gets bound, the back cover holes need to actually be on this side. It needs to look like that. So I always do it that way, just in case your holes just, you have directional paper, or just for a variety of reasons. You just always want to make sure that whatever you're doing, it's how you want it to look at the end of the day. So that's lined up at the 1/2 inch, and then I'll punch. And then I'm gonna continue to punch a small stack. If you saw my previous video, I did attempt to make a centering line, and it turned out this is not really marking the center correctly, so I should just take this off, because A, it's not really the center, and B, this seems to work so far. I'm going to do different size notebooks and see if that stands, but for this size notebook, this is spot on. I'll be back when I'm done punching these holes. Okay, so I have punched probably a more generous stack of papers than what I really need. I'm gonna take some out. Maybe about that much. And then let's see, this teeny tiny like 8mm one, I really do not have high hopes that that's going to be useful at all. But I do have a 10mm. Yeah, I think these two are 10 and this one might be 11. So let's just see if this works. So to bind this, you just start one end through, and then once you feed it through the hole, you just turn. And twist the coil. It just keeps going. And look at that. We're almost at the end here. Okay. So this was bound pretty okay, but doesn't really open nicely. So I feel like this is too small. And if you need to undo something, you just twist in the opposite direction. You can see like the space between the edge and the hole takes up nearly this entire length here. So really what you want is, if I were to measure this in millimeters, because that's what I have the measurements for in my spiral, this is 6mm from this edge to the hole. So really I think I need 12mm, like I need at least double that in my spirals, so that 12mm can sit like that. And probably I need larger than 12, to be honest, so that it's nice and comfortable. But this is 11, so let's just see if 11 works, because my next size up from 11 is 14, and that gets to be kind of like a thick, chunky notebook. It's a lot of pages. Otherwise it just feels like it's like the wire is too big for the notebook. So that's how that looks. And this definitely opens a little bit better. So I feel like I probably could use this, and it would be okay, but I would probably want to put more pages in so that it doesn't look so sparse. And this I want it to be my back cover, and I wanted this to be my front cover. I'm gonna add the rest of my pages in. And then this is the nice thing with spiral bound notebooks, is that look at like how easy it is to bind and adjust and then, you know, do it again if you need. So I kind of like that. I've never done spiral bound notebooks until I got the universal cinch. But it is kind of nice. So all you need to do when you get to the end is just like the other one, just clip the excess off. And there you have it. Now, again, this is maybe a little tight. It doesn't quite open 100% flat, but it will open. It might take a little bit. So I think this even still is not the right size, but you could get it to go all the way around like that and lay flat and open and then close again. So I do feel like it can work. It may not be the most ideal size. I think the more ideal size would be, like I said, at least 12 millimeters. And because I don't have that, I would have to go up to 14 because that's what I happen to have. So let's see. I don't know if it's going to make any difference, but let's see. This is actually a spiral 3-1 pitch punch. Like it's specifically that. And that's exactly what I have is 3-1 pitch wire. So I'm kind of curious if this punches holes any closer to the edge of the paper, which would allow me to use those smaller spirals. So let me cut down some papers and then come back and we'll start punching. Okay, got myself a stack of papers, and this notebook will be lavender. Again, this is from the Paper Pad Club. So this is the second paper pad that you get in the Not Too Shabby Paper Pad Club. And I'm going to do a test punch with just a single sheet of 6x6 just so that I can see what is what. So on the punch, you have a couple of things. So it's hard to see because it's in white, but it tells you in that little chart there which guide to use depending on the length of your paper. So if you're punching something that ends in a whole number, then you want to set it to B. I'm punching along a 5.5 inch edge, so I want to use D because that's where 1/2 inch is. Then, because I know I'm going to have to do continuous punching, the first set of holes that I punch in, I want to line up at this where it says align. I want to put that hole into the peg that locks it to do the previous. This is the peg that you lock it down into. I want to line up the 1, 2, 3 from the end into this peg and then continue my punching. And that ensures that you have the same spacing continues. So D is here. So I'm going to put my little guardrail here at D and punch. Take this out and then slide it down until the third hole lock that in. I kind of feel like I'm gonna get a partial hole punch here. I don't know. I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna feel good about doing this. Let's see. Yeah, see, I'm not so sure that's... I don't know why. I really don't know why. So here's how I punch for this. I typically actually don't use the guide. So whatever edge that I'm punching, I just want to fold it in half, 90 degrees from that, basically, so that I get the center mark. And then what I'll do is line this up so that this washi that I have down here, it actually marks the center of the holes, which the board tells you where the center is. So I just held up a ruler to that 0 and then put some washi. So what I'm going to do is put that fold right on my centering and punch. And that gets me my first set of holes right in the center. And then what I want to do is punch the rest of the holes on either side. And to figure out where to punch those, what I basically need to do is scooch it down a little bit so that basically it kind of ends up with, this last hole. Like, I want to punch enough so that I get all of the rest of this punched, like on this edge, and not anymore. So if you punch, as it turns out, if you line this up so that the very first hole that you punched gets locked in, seems like, oh, this is gonna come really close to that very last hole. See, that's the challenge with the multi-cinch and any of the mini cinches, because you can't control which holes get punched and which don't. If that clips the edge of the paper, I'm not sure that we're gonna have options other than to use a different size paper. So let's just see. I do feel like, oh, it just made it. Okay, it's pretty close to the edge there. And I don't know why, but this is actually, I mean, usually for one sheet it's not the best punch, but other holes have punched just fine. This seems to not punch all the way. But in any case, that did get the last 3. It all made it onto my page here. So now I need, I punched those 2 in one pass. Now I need this section here punched. So I'm just going to flip it and lock, one of the holes in there. And that way we get the right spacing. And then I'll punch again. That looks good. Okay, that works good. Now what I'm gonna do for reals is I'm actually just gonna trim these off. I'm gonna use my little template here. It's just copy paper, so it's nice just to do one, just to see. And I'm going to take a smaller stack, because what I've found with punching like square holes, for example, is that it can take only like a smaller amount than what the big full-size cinch. So what I'm going to do is take my template, line this up at the edge, and then line this up with my washi, my centering line washi. So it'll look a little something like that. See how this edge, which should mark the center of my pages, lines up with my centering mark for the holes. So that's what I'm going to do for the cover for all of my pages, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. It'll require 3 passes. So the first pass to get the initial set of holes, then I'm going to position this first hole into this peg to lock it in place, and then punch. That gets me the rest of the holes on that end. Now, in order to get the rest of the holes on this end, flipping to the back, I'm going to lock it into a previously punched hole. It's going to be the 4th hole. And get that in place. So that ensures that we're continuing our punches at an equal spacing. Okay. And that gives me my first set of pages punched. So I'm going to punch the rest of the pages that I think I'll need, and then punch my covers in the exact same way, and then come back and bind it. Okay, so I've punched some pages and my cover, and it kind of looks like the holes are closer to the edge of the paper, which means that I think I can use some of those smaller spiral wires. So this is what the universal cinch punched out. So if I line these up, yeah, see how you can see the edge of the edge of the white notebook paper? That's the universal cinch. So the line of holes is actually closer to the edge here. So, because really what you want when you open up your notebook is, at least what I want, is to be able to open it up like this so that it lays flat. So what that means is, you need a diameter that's going to accommodate that little, that amount of paper between the hole and the edge of your sheet of paper. So if I measured the universal cinch, it was, what did I say? I think it was 6 millimeters. This measures at, this measures at 4 millimeters. So I actually might be able to use those teeny tiny 8 millimeter wires that I got, that I was wondering, why do I have wires this small? Let's see. So got all of my holes lined up. And if not 8, I bet I could use the 10 millimeter one, because that's got a little bit of extra space for these pages to open up. So I really appreciate how easy and fast it is to actually do the binding. You just start it, and then you twist. Okay, so there's that. So this is, I think, the 8 millimeters. So let's see if I can open. Oh, not quite. Not quite. Close, but not quite. So let's undo. And because I have 8, 10, 11, 14, and 16. And those 14 and 16, I mean, they just seem like a lot. They're big. I feel like your notebook needs to be kind of chunky. I'm gonna add a few more pages. Maybe, okay, maybe that's good. I think this is either going to be 10 or 11. So this should work. And it should allow, if my measurement was correct, it should allow me to open this up pretty flat. Okay, so there's that. And look at that. I'm so glad that there's only, because there's 4 different, I have 8, 10, 11, 14, and 16. So there are 5 different sizes in this bundle of wires. And I'm really glad that it's just the 8mm that won't work. 10 seems to work okay. And so anything above 10 is going to be great. I think 10 and 11, I'll have to use my multi-cinch. The universal cinch, because of how far the holes are away from that left edge, really, I can really only use it for those, larger diameter wires, which means, kind of having to make a chunkier notebook. Like even this doesn't seem like it's enough pages. I kind of want it to feel like it's an appropriate number. I don't ever count the number of pages. All I'm gauging is basically, does it seem to fit with the size of wire that's in here? Like, do you have just like a huge diameter in your coil, but not a lot of pages hanging off of it? And that's the only thing that I'm gauging. Now, if you're making stuff to sell, my guess is that you want to be pretty exact. But I don't sell my stuff. I just make them as gifts that I can then give out during the holidays. And so everything is handmade, so I don't really, it's bespoke. I don't really feel like I need to give them a page count. And there we go. Yeah, see, that looks a little bit more fitting. And the thing with the spiral bound is that, what the diameter gauges is, how many pages you can fit, but really whether you can open it up flat is going to be a factor of how close your holes are punched to the edge. So this seems to work just fine. It's nice and flat. You can loop it all the way to the back and flip it around to the front again, and it's all nice and tidy. I really like this. So now I kind of feel like for chunkier notebooks, it's going to be way faster to use the universal cinch, because this is the same size wire, same diameter, but functionally, look at the difference. This is the one that we just did, in fact. Same size wire, or same diameter wire. Okay, the loops are the same, but this one, see how it takes a little bit of coercion. It will work, but it takes a little bit of you just have to kind of finagle it a little bit. This on the other hand is, you just open it, and because the holes are a little bit closer to the edge, it lays flat a lot more easily. See how I can hold these side by side, and they're not overlapping, and in fact there's like a little bit of a gap. That's the little bit of wiggle room that is, I think, is ideal for just being able to very easily, have this lay flat as you're using it. This, I'll hold this up. See how if I stretch a little, I can sort of get them side by side. But there's no breathing room. So it takes a little bit of coercion to get this to really lay flat. Like if I just open it randomly, it has more of a tendency to do that, where one is laying on top of the other, whereas this, the pages sit side by side very comfortably. So that is functionally, I think, an important difference between the universal cinch and the multi-cinch with the actual spiral adapter, because this does not come included with just the standard multi-cinch. When you get the multi-cinch, I think if you just get the standard package, it's circle hole punch and disc bound punch, and then if you want anything else, you gotta buy it individually, or if you find I got the big bundle of everything, the base and the all of the different punches at a great deal when you're on HSN. So I do think that there's a material difference though between them, and it really governs the size of wire. That's where it makes a difference, is the size of wire that you can use. These smaller wires, to be honest, I don't think I would use this size wire, because functionally, yeah, you can get it to kind of lay flat and work, but I certainly would not sell, a notebook like this. And I hesitate to even give it as a gift because it just feels kind of janky. I might make it and use it for myself at home because, yeah, if it takes a little bit of coercion, I'm maybe okay with it, but even I would maybe get frustrated with it. And so I would not use this size wire. And when I say size, I don't mean the pitch. 3-to-1 pitch works just fine. When I say size, I mean the diameter. So it feels like in the bundle that I have, the 8 millimeters seems rather useless, but I think 10, 11 seems to be okay for the multi-cinch. And for the universal cinch, I think I have to go up to at least 12. But really, I think more ideal would probably be 14. So let me just show you that as a comparison, just so that you can see, like, functionally how different it can work. Thankfully, I've got this multi-pack that and I didn't buy all the same size wire way back years ago when I got this. This is the 14, and the only thing with these larger wires is that I feel like you want more pages, because you don't want such a large diameter wire. I at least feel like it looks weird to have like a larger diameter wire and then like just like a few page notebook in it. So I feel like this could use maybe a couple more pages, but just in terms of functionality, look at how this functions. See how easily now this lays flat? So I think 14 millimeters would be, if you've got the universal cinch, I think 14 might be the smallest you would want to go on that. And then I feel like in terms of the number of pages, maybe you would want to, put a little bit more than what I've got here. But this feels good to me in terms of functionality. So I'm going to clip this and down to size. And there you have it. So interesting. So I've learned something new in terms of comparison between the Multi-Cinch's spiral and the universal cinch, which is designed so that you can actually punch holes for different binding styles. So they both work great. I think the big notable difference is just the size wire that that you can use, and any sort of restrictions, limitations on that. And otherwise, I kind of feel like they're both functionally really nice. The only thing that I would say as a big consideration is if you're making to sell, this is a lot more work because you have to punch multiple times. I had to do 3 passes for every stack of paper, and I can only do a smaller stack than what I can punch at a time in the universal cinch. So there's that. Second, I feel like there's more time involved with this one, but because you can use a smaller diameter wire, if you're making to sell, if you're making just for yourself or for gift giving, I kind of feel like these considerations may not be huge trade-offs for you. But if you're making to sell and you're doing like a large volume, this is where stuff like this might actually be a big factor in your consideration, because it takes, for every extra minute that it takes you to produce a product, that's less product that you can sell for the same amount of time and effort. So I feel like with the Multi-Cinch, there's some important trade-offs. It takes more time to punch a pass, of holes. But you can make smaller notebooks, fewer pages. So there's more labor goes into making this, but there's less cost. Now, the cost of paper is not a lot. But if you were making like watercolor notebook, for example, maybe the cost of the number of sheets that you bind does matter and is significant. If you're using like really nice parchment paper or even nicer digital paper than what I have. I just have really thin, like it's probably 18-pound text weight paper, and I even think for like a nice text paper, 32-pound is what I prefer, and this is 18, so it's like super thin. Really, these notebooks I'm making just as a nice, like, just jot down a grocery list or something, tear it out and go. It's not meant to be like a diary or journal that you would keep forever and ever. It's just use it, toss it is what I'm making these for as gifts. But if you're making them to sell, that might be an important consideration. Like the labor cost to produce this is higher, but it allows you, because it punches holes closer to the edge, it allows you to use smaller diameter wires, and that's fewer pages. Whereas with the universal cinch, I really feel like you need larger, at least 14 millimeters as compared to 10 or 11, and that's gonna mean for a notebook to kind of look right, so to speak, I think you need even more pages than what I have here, and that's already a little bit more than this. So you can, but they're close to the same. But see how with the wire being this big, I kind of feel like if I were to buy it, I would feel a little bit shortchanged on the number of pages, because it seems it can hold much more, and it looks like it should hold much more. Like this looks like pages are missing just because of how large the diameter of the wires are. And so those are some trade-offs, and as well, this being a larger machine is much more efficient in terms of it's just one punch to get all of the holes that you need, as opposed to 3. So a couple of different, I think, pretty notable changes. When I did the comparison for the double loop binding, it's across the board, I think there were some nuances, but functionally everything was the same. And so not a lot of differences there. It just depends on the effort and time. But this one, I do think there's a functional difference between them, and that is kind of that may be important for your consideration. So I hope this has been helpful for you if you are in the market to do some notebooks, make some notebooks, and you like a spiral bound notebook. I should also note the other difference is the style of holes, which is obvious, but I just want to call it out because this is more standard where every loop, every wire goes through its own hole. There's like a larger slot of as a whole, and 3 wires go through every slot, which I think correlates to the pitch. So it's 3-to-1 pitch, and I think those slots are roughly an inch. So if aesthetically you don't like the look of so much getting punched out versus this, this is like if you tore a page out of this, it's gonna have that classic notebook torn edge. If you tore a page out of this, it would look not the classic torn edge. It would look pretty different. I don't even know what it would look like. So that might factor also, just the aesthetics of it. But this has been a fun comparison. If you found it helpful, I hope you'll like this video and maybe even subscribe to my channel if you like seeing these in-depth product reviews. If there's anything you want me to try, if there's any questions you have, I can't guarantee that I would know the answer, but I'm happy to explore and actually try to investigate a little bit if you do have questions. The next thing that I think I want to explore is, so far I've just been making really simple notebooks. I've just been doing the exact same size cover as the notebook pages. Where I'm curious, especially with the universal cinch, because this is the newest to me, and I'm trying to do as much kind of product exploration and review of it. The next thing I want to try is other materials than paper and pattern paper. So lightweight chipboard, medium weight chipboard, a wrapped cover. I want to see how it handles wrapped covers. And I also want to see how it handles punching holes for a notebook that is kind of like this, where the pages, this is a totally different binding. This is perfect binding or glue bound. But I kind of want to see how this handles, how would I make a notebook, a bound notebook, where the pages sitting inside are smaller than the covers, the front and back covers, so it sits entirely within, and that gives you options for things like dividers with divider tabs, for example. So I want to I want to do a side-by-side of how I would do it on a universal and then how I would do it on either the multi or the regular original cinch. So I think that's going to be the next exploration that I do. So look forward to that video. If you subscribe and hit the notification bell, then you'll be notified when I post new videos to my channel. If you are curious and you don't want to miss that video, that might be the best way to get alerted. Thanks for checking out this one, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.